She wanted my pool, the one I spent 18 months building with my own hands, every tile, every pipe, every blistered finger, $47,000, and a stubborn kind of pride. And she walked onto my porch with a clipboard and a smile that could have been printed on the side of a shark. 30 days to open it for everyone in the neighborhood, or start paying $500 a day. In fines, she told me, like she was doing me a favor. Let me back up a sec, because if you think this is just about water and tile, you don't know Dolores Pritchard yet. My name's Wyatt Fletcher. I'm 52, a civil engineer by trade, recently divorced, which is a nice way of saying I split 20 years of life in a lawyer's office and came away with the house and the kids on weekends, Sienna 16 and sharp as a tack and Deanie 14 quiet, but watching everything like a little hawk. I'd taken the house, bought out the other half, and poured whatever I could into the backyard, because the one thing custody didn't take from me was the chance to make a place feel like home for those weekends. I'm an engineer, so I know concrete and plumbing and how things sit when they're supposed to sit. I hired the diggers and did the rest myself, nights, weekends, every free hour, laid a salt system, hand-set mosaic tiles that looked like a desert sunset on the bottom, the hum of the filter at dawn becoming better than an alarm. 3 days after I finished, Dolores showed up. She was the HOA president, fifth term kind of person, clipped shoes, clipped words, a clipboard like it was a badge of authority. "Your pool is community property now," she said, reading off a rule I'd never seen, a paragraph I'd never heard of, and to my lawyer's surprise had never been lawfully adopted. She'd written it for us. I later learned changed the wording in a filing like it had always been there, weaponized paper and procedure to take what she wanted. She thought she'd box me in. She was wrong. What you do when you're an engineer and somebody tries to steal from you is you start collecting facts. I time-stamped every letter, snapped photos, saved emails, printed every comment from the neighborhood group where people immediately split into, "She's insane," and, "Well, the rules are rules." I dug into the records and found the lie. There was no board vote, no notice, just an amendment she filed solo. The original rules covered commercial amenities for huge developments, not our sleepy 74-house desert pocket. That discovery was a pivot. It was also dangerous because Dolores wasn't subtle. 2 months earlier, I'd politely declined the bid her nephew offered to build the pool, $78,000 for what I did for $47, and apparently that slight stuck. She started playing chess with fines, mailbox color, tree maintenance, a phantom parking violation, tiny paper stabs that added up. By day 14, the fines stacked to $7,000. I didn't pay. My lawyer filed an injunction to freeze the fines while we fought. But she escalated anyway. Someone filed anonymous complaints, health department code enforcement, bogus claims designed to make me tired, broke, and to make my life too small to fight. My pump was unplugged at night. Someone dumped rock salt in the skimmer. My water turned green overnight after someone tampered with the chlorine feeder. No proof, just suspicion and sabotage. The strategy is simple. Make it cost more in time and money to resist than to give up. I could have caved. I could have gutted the thing and walked away. But there's a line where people stop calling it rules and start calling it extortion. I decided I'd do the opposite of what Dolores expected. See, the thing about petty tyrants, and I mean that with all my heart, is they rely on fear and on people giving up quietly. She wanted me humiliated so she could go on tightening the screws for the next person who couldn't fight back. If I wanted to stop her, I needed a plan that exposed the whole system, not just the pool dispute. 2 weeks in, I found more than procedural fraud. I found spending. Monthly line items for office supplies that tracked like a scavenger's receipt, candles, cushions, a stand mixer, things delivered to her house coded as HOA expenses, a mysterious payment for emergency roof repairs on the clubhouse, a gazebo sent to a shell company that didn't exist. That's embezzlement. That's criminal, not garden variety HOA crankiness, and once you see that, you can't unsee it. Here's the twist. I wasn't alone. Jim Kowalski, a quiet contractor who lived by the entrance, came to my door with a story and a recording. Dolores had leaned on him, offering to forgive past fines if he would back off and persuade others to do the same. He recorded it. In our state, one-party consent means that recording is admissible. He handed me the phone and shrugged like it was nothing. He'd been fined for a clothesline once. He'd had enough. So now I had more than paperwork. I had witnesses, recordings, bank statements. I had a plan forming around a legal safety valve in our governing documents. If a board acts in material breach of its duties, Homeowners can petition for a special election to dissolve the board. It only takes signatures a minority, but enough if you get the neighborhood moving. But there was a problem. If I started collecting signatures, Dolores would smell it, lawyer up, and disappear with the evidence. She's good at running interference. She wanted applause for forcing me into a choice: give it up or hand it over. I decided to give her exactly what she demanded publicly on her timeline, but not in the way she imagined. I hired a commercial drainage crew and scheduled a public spectacle. I told a group of trusted neighbors, Jim, Gemma, the retired teacher, Chanice, and Marcus, the IT couple, and a handful of others to meet to bring petitions to hold their breath. We'd make her celebrate a hollow victory so everyone could see the truth behind the curtain. We drained the pool on a Saturday morning with the local news and neighbors watching 20,000 gallons sloshing down a hose and into the storm drain. A stunt, yeah, but a message. The spectacle worked. People showed up, asked questions, watched the empty crescent of tile and bench, and realized what she had forced me to do. While the pool was empty, we quietly gathered signatures. People who'd been too scared came forward. Parents who'd seen me fight for fairness signed. Folks who'd complained about scented candles in the expense report signed in horror when they saw the receipts. And then we filed. Not a whisper, not a leak, straight to the county clerk with notarized signatures. Dolores had to respond, and she did what tyrants do when the walls close in. She lied. Fake photos, stock images passed off as evidence of reckless drainage, sloppy Photoshop that a teenager could spot. The neighborhood called her out. Credibility cratered. The night of the emergency meeting, the room was full, more people than I'd ever seen at a homeowner's gathering. I stood up with a projector and slid bank statements across the screen. Candle receipts, mixer invoices to a ghost contractor for a roof that didn't exist. We played Jim's recording for everyone. You could feel the air change from nervous conformity to angry clarity. It got better. I'd filed a criminal complaint 2 times, so that detectives arrived right as the meeting heated up. They asked Dolores to come downtown to answer questions. She didn't speak. She left in handcuffs of process, not iron, but close enough. The petition passed by an overwhelming vote. The board was dissolved. The embezzlement charges followed days later. I won't pretend it didn't cost me. I drained the pool, watched the mosaic tiles sit in harsh sunlight where water had once softened them, spent weekends in cash-fixing sabotage, and gave the community a spectacle that made some people uncomfortable. But I also got the pool back. New board members, people who actually live here, and care, rescinded the bogus fines, rewrote the governing documents, added term limits, and returned the money to the families who'd been hit. 2 weeks later, we refilled the pool, $47,000, and a whole mess of principal restored. Here's the odd little moral in all of this, and I mean it: power isn't slowed by lawsuits or lectures, it's slowed by receipts and witnesses. Most people don't fight back because they think they're alone, or they think the system's rigged and resistance is futile. Sometimes it is rigged, sure, but not invincible. You need allies, you need evidence, and you need a plan that forces a tyrant into daylight where their tricks look like what they are. I also learned something about generosity. After all that, I proposed that my pool be opened 1 day a year, 4th of July, Community Day, voluntary donations accepted for youth sports. People showed up, loved it, and we raised enough to sponsor Little League teams. Turns out when you invite people instead of forcing them, they come and they give. Strange how that works. So, and here's where I look at you. What I tell anyone stuck in an HOA nightmare is document everything. FOIA, the financials. If your state allows it, find the people who are quietly angry and make them visible. Odds are you're not alone. And if you have one small piece of advice from me to you, it's this: bullies only win when nobody checks the receipts. Tell me, has your HOA ever tried something ridiculous? What's the strangest rule you've had to follow, or the worst fine you've seen handed out? Drop a comment and tell the story, because I answer every message I can. And if nothing else, it helps to know you aren't the only one dealing with clipboard tyrants.